Could we do a quick introduction while everybody?
Oh, sure. All right.
On.
Well, I'm Mike Dugan. I'm the president of the Cole Neighborhood Association.
I'm Marisol Vasquez. I've been in the neighborhood for 33 years with my parents, and I got 2 kids that attend Cole schools.
I'm Sandy Douglas, Cole resident for many years. I guess I was here when Marissa was born. That doesn't make me feel real good, but, and I'm also on the board.
Hi, I'm Chris Spooler. Thank you. I'm Chris Spooler. I'm project manager with Denver Parks and Recreation, working on the Russell Square Park plans.
Anybody else who wants to jump in? Introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Shawnee Aldina. I work at the Trust for Public Land, and I've been working in the Cole neighborhood on the Russell Square Park project and the My Outdoor Colorado Coalition.
My name is Michael Miera, and I'm manager of neighborhood relations with the Urban Land Conservancy.
And I'm Will Kralovec, president of JJK Places, PBC, real estate development company working on the Tramway-Cole train property that we'll be talking about. And we're expecting just a couple other members of our team to join us here in a second.
Yeah, hi, I'm Tim Welland. I'm with Palisade Partners, also on this on the development that we're going to be talking about tonight.
My name is Mark Marshall. I'm the director of real estate at Urban Land Conservancy. We are the owners of the Tramway building and long-term community partners in the neighborhood.
My name's Taylor Hirschberg. I am a co-resident. I am also on the board as the at-large. I'm also an epidemiologist working with University Hospital and sit on several boards of the Department of Public Health, and I'm also an infectious disease specialist.
Hello, my name is Juanita, and I live in Cole for 30 years. And I've been working from City Bio from 2 years, so I am community connector. Nice to meet you all. I think so. Yeah.
Good evening, Anthony Aragon. I'm with the Office of Community and Business Engagement with the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure for the City and County of Denver.
Will,
the president of the Clayton Neighborhood Association, right next to you guys.
Oh, hey, Aaron. So for time's sake, I suppose we should get started with the presentation. DPD may arrive late. I'm hoping they do. And if not, we'll jump back if they do. So Will, are you still waiting on team members? Because if you are, we can do Russell Square Park first.
I think we've got probably everybody there might be a few people jumping in, but I think we've got enough to here to start.
Okay. Then whoever is presenting.
Michael actually is
Michael.
going to
great.
MC.
Well, again, Michael Miera with the Urban Land Conservancy, and I want to throw it over to Mark and let Mark get started on his part of the presentation.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for inviting us out this evening here. I guess it doesn't matter really what the weather's like out anymore. We're all inside. So on this snowy evening here, but we appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you here. We've owned the property at Tramway since 2011 and have gone through quite a number of renovations inside of the property. A few years ago, we had an inspection of the property, and the structural inspection showed that the best option for the property over on the east side of the building used to be the old maintenance shop for the rail station here for the rail cars. They deemed it best. It was structurally unsound and becoming a hazard here. So we went through a demolition process a couple of years ago. Shortly after that, we issued an RFP to a number of developers here, and we really liked the proposal that we received from Palisade, JJK Places, and since have partnered with them and have been moving forward on redevelopment of the site here. Through our presence in the neighborhood, we've always noticed that there has been a lack of affordable housing, like across the city, where that's the case. And we've always known that we wanted to bring some type of an affordable property to this site here. And that was what really attracted us to the Palisade proposal that was submitted. So with that, I will turn it over to
I'll take it
Bill
over.
or to Tim.
Yeah, I'll take it over here.
Oh, Michael. Okay.
We have big plans to do community outreach. I'm going to be the lead on community outreach on this project, consulting with JJK Places and Palisades. And so we want to do a lot of things to get input from the neighborhood to help shape this development. So I'll talk more about that later. Will? You're muted, Will.
I am muted. Okay. Mike, how do I share?
Should be at the bottom of your screen there, the green button that says share screen.
Okay. Okay. Let's see if this will work. Here we go. Okay. Everybody see that?
Yes. Looks like it's working.
Okay. We've got a couple slides here, and as we go along with the presentation here, essentially we just wanted to give you an overview of the development team, and we kind of prefer to call this the project development partners. Not only is it the co-developers of Palisade Partners and my company, JJK Places, Chris Carvel, our architect, who's the design lead, he'll be heading up the whole team of designers, engineers, consultants, sustainability consultants, energy consultants, etc. Then we've got Urban Land Conservancy, which, as Mark mentioned, has been involved in the community for a long time. And then, frankly, something that I've always noticed on developers do on development teams, they leave off the community. And I've spent about 15 years in what I call socially conscious real estate and community development. And the Cole neighborhood and Cole residents will be a very integral part of this process as we go ahead with planning and design of the property. So, and then Chris is not here, but let me go through.
Chris is here.
Chris here?
I thought I saw him, yeah.
And I don't know, Mark, if you want to give just kind of an overview of the property.
Sure. Yes, we are, as everybody knows, we're located kind of in the heart of the Cole neighborhood here. We're between Franklin and Gilpin, 35th and 36th Street. Our building pretty much encompasses the entire block here, but what we're focused on is the east side of the building here that was demolished. It's about a 37,000 square foot property here, around a little bit more than 3/4 of an acre site. Our functions in the building will continue to remain here. We've got a number of community assets that are located in the building. They're excellence, civic canopy, just a number of neighborhood groups that are really supportive. And we are looking to be able to partner with more groups that will be able to take advantage of this new space that we're going to be providing at the location here. In addition to the residential portion of the property, we're also looking for some type of commercial uses that will be compatible with our current building. So
Is Chris on? Didn't see him. I know he was signing on. Well, I'll just give a little overview.
Chris is here. Chris, you want to say something? You got to unmute. You're muted.
You mean me, Chris Schooler, or which? Is there another Chris?
I'm here now. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted, I guess, Michael. So I think like Mark and Will were saying, we're in the process of looking at and analyzing the ability to develop a mixed-use project that would include as much community outreach type of commercial and retail on the ground floor of the building. And we're proposing 3 levels of housing on top. And this is building a for sale project that will be affordable housing for sale for the community. We have a little, you can see there, we have a little outdoor paseo between the existing trolley garage and barn building and the new project. The parking will be behind the building, and there'll be just one curb cut off of East 35th to get you to the surface parking area. And then our plan is to try to preserve the historic trees, as well as we're working with the city right now to make sure we can preserve the existing curb and gutter. You got another slide, Will?
No, that's
that it?
Yeah.
Were you going to talk, Chris, were you going to talk about the concept review process?
Yeah, we have submitted some preliminary layouts of the site plan mainly, and a little bit of the building massing to the city to get some feedback. I think most of you know, I'll elaborate on a little bit, but we are governed under an old zoning classification called RMU 20, but we have a height limit on the project that we have to be within, and it's 45 feet. So we are just barely getting in commercial space and 3 levels of housing. And so we're in the process of confirming all these constraints and opportunities with the city right now, and starting down a very preliminary path of looking at both the zone district, the zone lot, and the configuration as it was originally, which was, as Mark said, there was a building on this site that got torn down a couple of years ago. And we've got zoning that encompassed the whole block, which is goes to all 4 streets. But we're in the middle of trying to dissect the block to look at this redevelopment site and then the future renovation of the garage building. So we're in process of trying to analyze all that and get feedback from the city about what our constraints are going to be.
Good. And one thing I think just want to emphasize to community members is this is a very preliminary concept. The city zoning and planning staff requires you to submit a concept plan just to get them to arrange the first meeting to talk to them. So nothing here is set in stone. It's going to be kind of a reiterative process of as we go along. But so that's why we don't have a lot of diagrams to show you at this point, because it's still just preliminary.
I think one thing that needs to be said is that there's actually just enough depth to fit in a double loaded corridor with housing, and just enough depth to get parking behind. So and then we've got the limitations with the zone district on the old RMU 20 and the height restraints. So we're really kind of almost following the envelope that is really set in, before we even start.
Yep.
Yeah, as Will said, this is Tim Mellon with Palisade Partners. Yeah, this was a initial concept Part of the reason we're coming to all of you so early is so we can get some feedback on it and get some ideas that you guys might have for things you want to see in the neighborhood or priorities. I see some questions coming out that are great that we'll definitely get to. So that's part of the reason why we're here. As Chris said, we submitted a concept in part to get some city feedback on certain things and understand how they were going to interpret the zoning, because it is the old zoning code. And so, that's part of the reason we submitted right now before talking to you. But again, as Will said, it's an iterative process, and to the extent possible, we want to work with the community to try to address community desires and community needs. So we're excited to hear what you guys have to say.
And here's a little overview of kind of the original. We'd come to the community last fall, I guess, with an original plan that we were looking at. It's evolved since then. Again, still very preliminary concept, but mainly because of costs of construction. If you're not in the real estate or construction industry, you may not be aware, but costs literally prior to this coronavirus were going up monthly on construction. And one of the things that I think is important for the community to understand, because of the height restriction at 45 feet or 4 stories, it doesn't allow a lot of units. I mean, we originally were talking, see the second line, about 87 units. We're talking anywhere from about 50 to 60 units, 65 units, depending on the size of the units. But when you factor in all the costs of development, there's not a lot of units to spread those costs over. And the goal is to get affordable housing into the neighborhood. So it's a very restrictive property and very restrictive on the height limits that are allowed. 2 things that I'll just highlight on this list that came up in the community early on that we heard were a lot of people were concerned of the density that we were originally proposing and the potential for traffic, parking constraints, that sort of thing. And then in conjunction with that, we heard a lot of feedback of desiring more family size units, 2 and 3 bedroom units. So we try to include more of those in this concept. And then we're still working on the numbers as far as affordable housing, how much is going to be in there. Parking, as I say, it's very tight to put parking in, but we want to at least have 1 space per unit. And then there's also street parking for some of the commercial uses and whatnot. So, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to jump in. And then really, this last slide is really a number of the things that we'd really like feedback from the community. We're going to be putting together an online survey, and that'll go out through, I think, probably Mike, be able to send it to the distribution list, but getting feedback on these various components. As you say, the building design, there's not a lot of flexibility in that because of the rectangular lot. The materials always come down to a cost factor, but we're more than open to entertain what the community might want. Unit sizes, we do have more, as I say, larger units, 2 and 3 bedroom units. We'd like to kind of confirm that with people in the neighborhood that that is a desire. Our original proposal had more 1 bedroom and micro units. And then a big part that we want to come to community is with the ground floor commercial space is what type of community serving uses really are desired in the neighborhood. We've talked about putting in a fair amount of potentially nonprofit organizations that are bringing needed services into the community. But again, we'd like that feedback. And then really kind of the last 2 are activating the outdoor space and really trying to make this project into a community hub for the Cole neighborhood. And whether that means some sort of food and beverage, outlet, or other gathering space, public space, that's something that we feel is important, and we want to get feedback from community members how they'd like to see that space. And then lastly, we really would like to incorporate maybe 1 or 2 cultural arts projects, maybe in the Paseo, that community members get involved in and lead that project. So with that, we can open up to questions if anybody has any.
Great. We have a bunch of questions in the chat window. I'm going to start from the top.
Well,
So,
excuse me.
sorry, go ahead, Michael.
A few more things to say, and this follows up on what Will was talking about. Community outreach process. Yeah, that's all right. The final plans for our community engagement are being done right now. We're going to be working on them. We think we want to form some kind of advisory group from the neighborhood to help us, give us some ideas about best way to reach out to the community. We might have some small focus groups or some coffee meetings. Reached out to parents of Wyatt, and there's a lot of different things we're planning on doing to get that community input.
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, Mike, if you want to start with some questions.
Yeah, so the first one that I have from Jeff Allen is, for the housing, will priority be given to people who already live in Cole?
It's
I can take that, or Michael.
Michael.
One of the things that has been important for us is to have people who live in the neighborhood have the ability to stay. As we see prices rising and people who are at risk of being displaced, we want to be able to offer that housing to neighborhood residents. We know based on fair housing that we cannot specifically restrict it, but there's a city ordinance that's being developed. There's conversation. It's not become effective at this point, but there is a policy that's being considered for neighborhood preference for people who've lived in neighborhoods, to give them priority to stay in the neighborhoods when new units are developed. So to the extent that we can, Michael can tell you some of the work that he's doing at a property that we own just a few blocks away over on 30th. Well, we own the ground underneath, and we're partnering with the group Medici that's developing 66 units of permanently affordable housing. So if you want to just mention kind of the work you're doing on that, Mike, for outreach, Michael.
What I've been doing is creating a pipeline and having stakeholders in the neighborhood give me names of people who've been displaced or people who are at risk of being displaced. And I put that pipeline into a database, and I'm going to send them out information about how they can apply. Now, I will be working with Palisades and JJK, and we want to do something similar. To the extent that it's legal, we want to have people in the neighborhood in that facility.
And I'll just throw in that, we'll probably start marketing units 6 to 9 months before construction is over. So we'll be setting up a wait list, and we'll announce that to the community so that people can get their name on a wait list for units.
I have a question. My question is, what is Candy Baca doing in this? Is she involved? Is she not involved? Or do we have to get her involved in this?
We've actually tried to reach out to her. Actually, she at this point, we have not talked to her. I don't know if Michael. No, sorry, I was talking and I was muted. But she had, up to this point, she hasn't been involved just because she's been busy with other things. We've tried to reach out to her. I don't know if Michael has
Well, Candy's aware of the project, She knows about it. She was at a meeting that I was at where I presented about the project. So she's aware of it. She's aware of it. And I know she supports neighborhood preference, and I know she would support this project.
Okay, thank you.
Continuing with the questions from chat, is there a concept of what type of commercial tenants you hope to draw for this project?
And I would say a large part of that, when we originally presented our response to ULC's RFP, we actually came in with 3 different groups of potential commercial tenants or potential even space owners. That's a big part that we want to put out to the community and really get feedback on what types of uses are preferred. I mean, we have some ideas, but I will readily say I don't live in the community, so I want to hear what other people in the community have to say.
Sure.
Yeah, we do really want to prioritize, community serving uses to the extent possible. We're not trying to put a 7-Eleven in there. So that's part of, again, why we're reaching out to everyone so early is just trying to get some ideas and some thoughts on things that would be useful for the community or things that are missing.
And Mike, I'll just throw in, I think I've mentioned this to you before, but this project, we really want to make, there's a lot of issues of gentrification in neighborhoods and around Denver. And, we feel this project is kind of a, not as, I say anti-gentrification, but really anti-displacement. We want to create housing for members of the community. And we want the commercial space to be something that helps existing people in the neighborhood. Yeah, we're not going to be putting a 7-Eleven or anything that, or a Starbucks that is going to cause gentrification.
Speaking, so you mentioned displacement. Can you discuss, this has already kind of been asked a couple different ways, but I'm just trying to go through the list of chat questions. Kind of other ways that you're prioritizing those who have been displaced or at risk of being displaced for participating in this project.
Again, the stakeholders in the neighborhood, the organizations, the neighborhood associations, they know who's been displaced. They know who is at risk of being displaced. ULC doesn't know who that is. JJK doesn't know. That's why we're going to reach out to the stakeholders, the churches, the schools, the neighborhood associations, to give us those names of the people who've been displaced or at risk of being displaced. And we will put those names in some kind of list and make sure that they get the information about the project in a timely fashion.
Great.
And Michael, do you want to just mention the meeting we had with Annunciation Church along those lines?
Well, we've already met with Annunciation. We have close contacts with other stakeholders in the neighborhood. So, each side unified, I should say, will be reaching out to them. Whoever can give us information that we need to identify those people, that's who we will be reaching out to.
Great. So we have a couple more questions coming in from chat, and we are running out of time on this side. I just want to be cognizant we do have another presentation, so I'm going to go about 5 more minutes, and then we'll have to wrap up. So the next question is, do you have established core values and a mission statement that you're willing to share?
This is a ULC partnership here, and we are very happy to share our mission statement and what our core values are. Yep, we can send that over to you.
Great.
Well, actually, they can go to our website and
even better.
Yeah, they're in the website.
Perfect.
We have a community engagement philosophy for the organization, and Will and Palisade have some values and that they would share, I'm sure.
Yeah, in fact, on my website, I have some values also we can share that with you, Mike, and you can put it out to the community.
Great. Okay, thank you. The next question is related to design. How can we ensure the design fits into the architectural character of the neighborhood? How can we make sure it's not an ugly, colored, blocked box? And then additionally, while you're talking about design, have you thought about price points for the units?
Chris, do you want
Well,
to?
I think, yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. I think our goal is certainly to have something that fits into the neighborhood, something that has a good connection with the existing Tramway Center. Its adjacency in relationship to the Wyatt School and to the surrounding houses. The masonry and brick detailing that's currently on the Tramway Center is something we are looking for inspiration. I think also we're alluding to a paseo, which is kind of an inner courtyard between the two buildings to make sure we've got space that connects and interacts between both buildings in the future as one gets renovated as a historic building. The other building on the new building is kind of simple and elegant and timeless. I think the one thing that we would strive for is for design of a building that is not dated, but is something that will really stand the test of time, then will be a quality building.
Great, thank you. And to the question as to price point on the units, have you thought about that yet?
Go ahead.
No. One of the things that we've always said is we want a property that has a certain level of affordability, and we're working with Palisades to see the dollars that are available from city funds, from state funds, and our partner Elevation Community Land Trust as possible participants to lower that price point on the units. This is not going to be how this property operates, but just as an example, we had those same sources of financing in place for a property that we're partnered with 92 affordable condo units down on 6th and Inca that will be breaking ground next month. They're looking at 1-bedrooms in the range of about 200,000, excuse me, 1-bedrooms are 150, 2-bedrooms are 175, 3-bedrooms are 200, and those are breaking ground. But we don't expect that here, but the level of subsidy will get them well below what we would see in a market.
Got it, thank you for the answer. So the last question that I have from chat, and please let us know if there's any other questions before we wrap up this side of the presentation, is just what is the time frame for the integral community engagement that Michael and Will have talked about?
Well, the community development agreement is this close to being signed, and once that is signed, we can get out there. So I would say in the next, what do you think, Will, the next 30 to 60 days, so we'll get started.
We definitely would like to, you know, obviously with the coronavirus and group meetings being prohibited, we're going to try to use technology just like this to at least to start to reach out to the community. But we've got a pretty robust plan over the next several months, but we'd like to start, yeah, as soon as possible.
And actually, we can start today. If there's anybody who would like to maybe sit on an advisory committee on the project, give your name to Mike Duggan, and I will follow up with Mike and get that going.
I would like to be on that program.
I hear you, Marisol. Cool.
You could sign me up. I'm one of them.
Okay.
Great.
Anybody else? Just
Mike, quick question. I wasn't here earlier. I'm Mark Edgeluni. I'm on the board. I've been in Cole for about 5 or 6 years. Just to y'all, thanks for the presentation. Very informative. I really appreciate it. Just one question in light of the what's going on with coronavirus and all that. How has that changed, if at all, your financing? And is that been more difficult and challenging? And how are you guys seeing the future of the project given those constraints?
Tim, do you want to talk a little bit about the funding aspects?
And just to remind, we have to wrap this up in about 1 minute. Sorry, Will, you're on mute there.
Oh, sorry. I don't know if Tim dropped off there, but right now the main hindrance, I guess, is, for example, the concept plan going through the city. Approvals are going slower just because the staff of the city is all working remotely. So typically you have a concept meeting with all the city departments all in one room, and it happens very rapidly. In this case, they had to pass everything around to the departments, and we got sent written comments. So as far as funding sources, we're actually, we've spoken to a number of funding sources, but we're not at that stage yet where we have a completed enough design project to have serious conversations yet.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so with that, we're going to wrap up this half of the presentation, and we're going to jump over to the Russell Square Park group. So thank you so much, everyone from ULC, JKK, and everyone else involved in the Cole Train redevelopment. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
So Sandy, do you want to take over, or you said there was someone else here that's presenting?
Yes, I'll just introduce them real quickly and then they can
Sure.
take over. For the past couple of years, we've been working on Russell Square Park, and I'm pretty sure most of the residents in the meeting are aware. We've been doing lots of work with Trust for Public Land and Denver Parks and Rec. So they are now doing some another phase of their project with outreach, community outreach. So they can take it from here. Normally the community connectors would be out there knocking on doors and trying to bring people to meetings, but since we can't do that, we're gonna go this route. So we will start with Christopher. And thank you guys for coming.
Hi, everybody. Again, I'm Chris Schooler. I work with Denver Parks and Recreation. I'm a project manager and have been working on this project just for about 6 months. I have a consultant, a landscape architect that has been taking the plans that were developed by Trust for Public Land, and we're putting them into the next level of development. I actually have some boards here that I can share with you, and it will bring everyone up to date on where we're at. With the project, we had originally scheduled a public meeting back in the middle of March, and that unfortunately got canceled for understandable reasons. So we're trying to find a way to displace, or that's not the right word, we're trying to find a way to still engage the community, get input on the design, and still try to make some progress. So if anybody has questions, feel free to put them into the chat, and if Mike can help kind of moderate that, I'm happy to go through the boards and just kind of show you where we're at and get some feedback.
Great, sounds good.
So just a quick little rundown of our time schedule. You can see here from the left side that we're literally in the middle of the community engagement part. It's difficult to, usually we try to go through the engagement and get the feedback and still progress the drawings essentially. The construction documents are scheduled to be underway starting in June and going through the third quarter of this year. One challenge that we have from the city standpoint is in the procurement of construction services. That often takes 6 months at a minimum. We, from the city standpoint, are trying to find ways to make that process more shorter time period and more efficient. So we hope that we can actually make up some time in here. We anticipate that the project will be under construction in the second quarter of 2021. and the project completed by the end of that year. So just circling back, this is the plan that was developed by the Trust for Public Land. There were about 11 kind of essential components to the plan, and we have taken all of those pieces and interpreted them. We took all of the planning work that had been done. We rated the components based on priority. That is important because as we go through the process of the design, we have to analyze our budget and try to get everything that was promised. That's our biggest challenge. So if things were possibly going to be not affordable in the budget, we need to understand which things can fall to the end of that list. So that's kind of why we established this list of priorities. So again, here's the 11 pieces. I'm not going to go through every one of these. Some of the more important ones were the added water feature. This would be a small item in size, but could be a large item in cost. And that would be one thing that we would try to get some feedback on, whether or not that's really how we want to spend money on. So incorporating public art, that's a big idea. The idea of developing like a gateway or some kind of community aspect that really identifies with the neighborhood. I'll circle back to that in a little bit. Adding a half-court basketball, inviting 3-on-3 games. Nature play is a very big thing with the city and in various neighborhoods around the city, trying to infuse play components that have more of a natural feel to them. This is an important idea and something that we're excited to bring to the project. An event space, some kind of accessible, inclusive, that would mean ADA accessible playground features, an outdoor classroom. Then we want to keep the existing multi-use field. And then it's been added to try to add more lighting for the sake of increased visibility and safety. So this is a look of the park, the plan. The big red dots identify the locations of the existing trees. This is a challenge because we don't want to disrupt, we don't want to hurt or damage the existing trees. But this has really been informative because it's allowed us to kind of show where we can do the work that we're talking about. So this is the next level plan, and I do have 2 of these. They're not real different, they just show some different configurations. And this is what we're starting to look at in terms of costs, trying to get pricing for all of these elements and figuring what we can actually afford. So again, I'm not going to go through every one of these, but these plans can be made available, and our consultants developed these so that people could add their information to them. We've actually been working on a Survey Monkey, similar to the development project from before. It's important for us to get feedback, and we're hoping to have that online survey available, I think, in the next week or 2, and it can be shared on our website, it can be shared via email, and we hope to get as much feedback as we can from everybody. With that being said, I think I'll pass over the mic, or just maybe talk to Mike Dugan, see if he'd like to chime in or tell us kind of your thoughts or next steps.
Sure. Although Sandy has been much more involved in this than me, so maybe it's best to have her talk. We did have one question just asking if this document is going to be available, and you kind of answered it. So I'm hoping that we can receive a copy, I'm assuming, to the Neighborhood Association so we can distribute it. But can you speak to when the city is planning on putting this information out publicly?
Yes, it will be on the city website in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Our website has been down. They've been actually revamping some of the coding. So I have not been able to publish this, but as soon as it's available through our website, it'll be up there. And Mike, I'm happy to disseminate or send it by email.
Great.
I have a question. So my kids go across the street. My daughter goes across the street from there. She goes to Harrington. And I had talked to Sandy Douglas because she asked me what was a good idea. At a lot of the neighborhoods that I visit, that I go to because of my friends and all that, each one has like a hall center. I think a hall center could be okay, because I mean it could bring the Cole neighborhood money and we could use it to fix the neighborhood or do something else with the money, but it's for the neighborhood. I mean, like Whittier has one, and they use, I think that they use the money for the Whittier neighborhood. So I think having a hall in the neighborhood should be, I think it's a great idea.
You know, Marissa, I think that was Cole Has a Soul, but hold on to your idea. And the next little pot of money that comes through, we need to use it, because I totally agree. But on this one, this is Russell Square Park. You know, the park right over between 37th and 37th and 36th and Vine and Gaylord. That
Yeah.
park, they are bringing it up to date. And the guys that are speaking now are putting lots of wonderful things for your kids to play. Could we hear anything else from some of the other partners that are with Christopher? Shanti, did you have anything to share?
Sure, I can just share that we're really excited. So I was the project manager for the Trust for Public Land when we did the planning process, and have been working with the My Outdoor Colorado coalition of partners for many years now on places in Cole and specifically Russell Square Park. And so this is a process that has been going on for well over 3 years now, from the time we started conversations with community about what priorities were for the neighborhood. And Russell Square Park was like the #1 park priority that we heard from all of you. And I'm really excited to see this plan moving forward. You know, I worked in partnership with the Cole neighbors and Tosh, Miss Sandy, Juanita, as well as Denver Parks and Rec, all last year on the master planning process. And we heard a lot of really great feedback. That's what you're seeing here. And Denver Parks and Rec and Livable Studios have really taken this to a whole nother level. So, you know, there are still opportunities for all of you to engage with us. And we're trying to figure out how to be creative about that, recognizing that we can't all come together like we did last summer and had big events in the park to get your feedback. This is our first opportunity to really engage with all of you since COVID started. And so if you all have some creative ideas or other ways that you think we could better communicate this project with you and all of your neighbors, please let us know. I think that's why I'm on here. I know that's why Tosh is on here. We want to be able to support Chris and the DPR team in making those connections possible and easier. So, you know, put them in the chat box, we'll record them, and we look forward to continuing this conversation.
Guys, on the online surveys, when do you expect those?
In the next 2 weeks.
Okay, have you already designed strategized as to where you're going to get those surveys out? Mike, we could have that on our network, right? What is it?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, use the connectors. Send it to us. Send it to the neighborhood association for sure. So, just to get it out there, because we noticed in our work, our outreach, Russell Square was the area that everybody wanted to. It was no problem. We had the entire park was full of people to come to hear.
Very popular park.
Russell Square. So we are very much interested in what goes on there. Anybody else? Tosh, you have any comments? Let's see, who else is there?
Yeah, I'm just getting off of mute here, but just echoing everything that was already said. This should look familiar to folks who've been in Cole neighborhood for a while. I hope it looks familiar to you because it's 100% input from the Cole neighbors. You know, what our heart's desire was to have a design session with community in the same room. And I feel naive, nostalgic, and a whole bunch of other things in between about how we used to come together every month. And particularly when we were doing this design work with under Chandi and Mallory at Denver Parks and Rec under their leadership, I guess I took it for granted hanging out with you guys in the blue room, in the tramway. And now I miss you. But we do have this. And so I'm excited.
Thank God we have this.
It can move forward. And I believe Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but Chris is working with the consultant team to see some other things they might be able to do to engage Cole neighborhood in a virtual way. So I think I heard that the survey is one part of that, but there may be some other options that fit.
Yeah, that's correct. We have a limited number of meetings outlined with our consultant, and we want to be very strategic about those. So those will happen, at least one, I think possibly two more. And back in that original chart that I was showing, you know, I realized that community engagement is not fit into a box, right? Community engagement needs to continue. And I want to tell you from DPR, Parks and Rec, the city's standpoint is that we will keep you informed. We will ask the important questions, and we feel like the community is our most important constituent in the project. So, you know, I'm going to be here throughout. My plan, my communication style is to be transparent and to tell everybody what's happening, when it's going to happen, and keep moving the project forward.
Great.
And one other last comment is that our budget at this point is somewhat limited. I'm not really prepared to share or talk about that entirely, but we're trying to find, you know, we do have a bucket of money to build the project, and that's one of our challenges. And that's going to continue to be a challenge. There's new challenges from a financial standpoint, but we'll keep everybody apprised of that. And as we get through monuments in the project, we will share the budget and let people know how the budget's being spent for the project.
Christopher, did you give a date where we can run and frolic in the park with all of our new toys?
Yeah, well, you know, the goal is by the end of next summer that we would be completed. And, you know, I'm determined more than ever to try to meet that goal. And I know my senior management knows how important this is in the neighborhood's eyes as well as the city's eyes. Happy Haynes, whom is my director, knows this project is important, and they're all behind me in trying to make sure we get it done on time.
Thank you.
So Chris, we should expect kind of things to start, like announcements to coming out 2 weeks when the website comes back up. Have you thought, you know, if there is going to be a virtual event, dates for that possibly, or is that still up in the air?
I think we can count on that trying to happen. I think we're figuring out what the right technology will be. Our consultant, who's called Livable City Studio, they are experts in public engagement. They're working on a number of big projects. This is also a big project for them. And I have a touch base with them tomorrow. I'll give them the update that I've gotten here today with you guys, and we'll have a more official announcement for what those dates will be. And, you know, what we've tried to do is piggyback on some of the existing, you know, social meetings. So if there's another meeting like this in a month, that might be an ideal time for us to piggyback if we can have 20 or 30 minutes and give everybody the latest and greatest updates.
Absolutely. Then the Cole Neighborhood Association will be hosting another meeting in May. It'll likely be virtual, and it actually is a month from today on May 14th.
Great.
So.
Well, if we can keep a pencil mark, an earmark for some time in there, that would be ideal.
Definitely.
Chrissy, would you let us know whether or not you want the time for May 14?
Yeah, I can get that figured out in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks everybody for your time.
Thank
you. So sounds like we're wrapping up. Are there any other questions? We didn't really get anything in from chat, but just want to give everyone the last opportunity, and then we'll do a quick open mic announcement. Anyone who wants to say anything is welcome to speak. So no more questions? Open mic announcements, anything? If not, we can wrap up.
So I see that the police didn't get online, but
no, I emailed them. So I'll try and chase her up again for next month. And if you want to send me any specific questions, I'm happy to email them for you.
No, the only update I had on that was that we had SWAT on 35th and Marion. I guess there's a guy that he was renting the house and he's a little crazy, and I guess he broke the windows, and I guess he's been wanted for the last 6 months.
Wow.
And so they just found him, and he got arrested on Friday.
Wow.
So he's in jail now.
Gotcha. Well, that's good.
It was on it. I was on the next door. I seen it, so I just wanted to comment on that.
Sure. Thank you.
I had one quick question. I just kind of putting this out to the group. Marisol, just to piggyback on what you were saying, do people have concerns with police presence, and are people noticing or observing problematic or, potentially increased crime and things like that?
I seen less cops in the neighborhood, so I haven't seen that many cops in the neighborhood just on Friday when that stuff happened.
Yeah, I haven't seen any more or less police, but I've noticed, I was expecting more kind of random crime with people being bored, and I haven't noticed anything really in the neighborhood, so I'm surprised how quiet it's been.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet on my block.
Yeah.
Hasn't been quiet on my block. We had someone running from the police twice. We had cops at the end of Vine at 34th and all the way down to Bruce Randolph. And so it's, and then we had up at the corner, I think it was on 34th and Gaylord, we had something happen there as well. So it's an interesting time here in Cole for me, at least.
Yeah.
I noticed.
Right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
See, I'm jumping off there. Sorry, go ahead. Who was just speaking?
No, I was just saying that we had a dumpster fire. I think it was like a vandalism kind of thing at the end of our thing. Were you aware of that, Mike?
Yeah, I freaked out thinking it was the bar because from my backyard, it was like perfectly lined up with the smoke. So I thought my building was on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, just vibes. And I don't know if you guys are active on Nextdoor. I also have that Ring app, so maybe I get more filtered. And it seems like a lot of crime stuff, broken windows, cars. Just keep that in mind. If you have the ability to park in a garage or on your property, it's probably better.
My brother left the truck open, but they didn't take anything. They just left a mess in the truck, but they didn't take anything.
Okay.
I had that happen to me when I first moved here a long time, like, I don't know, 7 years ago.
I'm used to it already. It's not the first time that it happened, so.
Oh, one thing I did notice, have you guys noticed that I saw these guys, it looked like they were drag racing in the neighborhood. This was about a week ago. The guy was in a green sports car. He was doing donuts on right by MLK and Williams Street. I have noticed a lot more speeding,
yes,
fires,
absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know. And then I saw a couple times where there was gatherings of seeming like kids and stuff over by the dog park there. It seemed like there was a party going on, but that seemed to sort of be shut down. But it'd be nice if I have seen police officers around, but I don't know how we can feed back to the police on that and what the crime stats look like. I had heard that there was an increase in property crimes, substantial, but other than that, the other crimes were sort of staying level.
There's always something going on at the Family Dollar, so just a heads up on that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's got to be an OD at that parking lot probably almost every other day. It's crazy.
Inside the store too with the managers. Yeah. So
poor
that's
people.
crazy. That's what,
yeah.
So I wanted to put it out there and offer any high-level information. So I'm an epidemiologist, worked in infectious disease, HIV, HCV, hepatitis, SARS, Ebola, all those kind of fun things. And I also specialize in infectious disease. So I wanted to offer any support. If anyone has any questions, you can get a hold of me via the website, the Cole Neighborhood website, and also on Nextdoor. My name's Taylor Hirschberg. I just also want to share some really neat information that might make people feel good, some data that we've received. So nitric, it's about the environment, and automobile fatalities. So around the globe, automobile accidents that cause fatalities have gone down globally by 40%. And in Washington State, they've gone down by 78%. An average across the world as far as pollution in the air goes, parts per million has gone down by 41%. And nitric oxide that's in the air, which is really terrible, has actually decreased over 60% on average. So that's some great, great news I thought I would share with everyone. And then at University Hospital, I do know that the scope of care for care providers has expanded, which is really great news. So that means if you have if you were a CNA in the past, or a phlebotomist, or have your any sort of medical license, they're looking to hire and hire quickly, and your scope of care will be expanded. Also, there's a lot of opportunity to go through accelerated education. So if you're wanting to transfer from one field to another, they have a lot of classes that you can go and become a phlebotomist in 2 weeks, because we really need phlebotomists right now, and they're paying $10 per patient that you'll do a blood draw on. And so there's a lot of other really neat things going on, and volunteer opportunities. If you're interested in that, just go to dora.gov. That's DORA.gov, I believe, is the website, or you can just Google Dora. Anyhow, so if anyone has any questions, let me know, and have a great night, y'all.
What does a phlebotomist do?
You know that person that sticks you with your blood, sticks you with the blood?
Takes your blood. Yeah.
They're those assholes. They're those assholes.
Yeah. All right.
They also take your urine. They take all the take all of the bodily fluids from you as well in some cases. But yeah.
Thank you very much, Taylor. Yes, please go ahead.
Sorry, Mike. Just piggyback riding off what Taylor was sharing. There's a Denver Climate Action .consider.it. And I think I'm really interested in 80205 residents participating in that. It's going to be an online forum. So that's the other thing. I'm just curious as to what it looks like. Right now, it's super interactive for people to give their authentic ideas and opinions about what's happening with climate locally in Denver. And then that starts on Monday, but then you can go back every day and see what how other people in Denver are responding on this online forum. So I'm kind of excited about that on two levels: more, hopefully, good information about what we are getting right in this time, and then also just engaging people online in really creative ways. So I love it if I could share it with Miss Sandy to get posted on Nextdoor and Cole Neighborhood Association as well, if that's okay with you all.
Absolutely.
It's good. Yeah. I just want to do another announcement. I guess YA has been giving out food to the Cole Neighborhood. So they did yesterday, and I think they did it today. I don't know when in the next day, but YA is giving out food in the back parking lot.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have an announcement or open mic comment?
Yeah, I wanted to make an announcement really quick. So I didn't get to introduce myself in the beginning because the audio was messing up. Sorry about that. But my name is Bithia, and I am the coordinator, the resident coordinator for Eastside Unified. And Mike from Urban Land Conservancy mentioned us. He did speak in one of our meetings last month, but we have discussed getting more involved with the resident neighborhood organizations in 80205. And our mission is basically to create a healthy and thriving 80205 for all children and families. And Mike, I did meet you last summer during the block party, and I mentioned I'd get in contact, and I will. Just a bunch of stuff has happened in between now and then, but Sandy's involved with our work. So is Tosh, so is Juanita. And so I just wanted to put a shout out of that. We want to get more residents. We want the resident voice at the table. And personally, I would like to see more resident empowerment involved in Eastside Unified. And so I'm going to put the website in the chat and my email address as well. That's all.
Great. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Batia, Michael took off a little bit ago, but I'll be sure to pass the message on to him.
Yeah, I'm actually in contact with Michael.
Oh, okay. All right,
so,
great.
yes.
All right, thank you.
Great. Well, if that's it, I'll do one last check. I think we're done. Anyone else? No? All right. Well, thank you so much. Our next meeting is May 14th. It'll likely be online. Thank you for attending. I'll post this video to the website and Facebook as soon as I have it downloaded. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thanks, Mike.
No, you're welcome.
Webcam.
Goodbye.
I will.
Webcam.
I will, Sandy. I'll let you know.
All right, all right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Have a
Miss
good
Sandy.
night. Take care. Bye.
Bye.